What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video from Dracon. Today, as you can see, we're going to be going over a lovely another set of minis. This one is the Icons of the Realm Spell Effects Wild Shape and Polymorph set number 2. I did already a video on number 1. Definitely check that out, guys, if you really want to see that one. That was the one I was a little bit more interested in. Now, this one is not bad either. It just has a couple creatures that I'm not really thrilled of, and that'll come later in the video when we get to the minis themselves for the up-close reviews. Now, we do have the concepts on the back, which we can obviously see are a little different than what we're actually getting. This is mostly in the fact of the giant eagle, because the giant eagle is bald eagle on the concept, but then when we look in here, it's obviously not. It looks more like a golden eagle. And other than that, though, I will say the brown bear doesn't match his concept only because, like, A, he's very filthy in the face, and the detail in there is a lot better here on the concept than he has. A lot of the other creatures are very similar, but that's just to be expected. They can't always match. Kind of a shame. Well, let's get in there. We'll see what kind of detail we're dealing with. Let's get the old Blade of Opening to do its job. Perfect. Okay, let's get this open. See how hard it is. Not hard, it's actually really easy. A good sign. I'm doing this set. Okay. Okay, they're not loose either. That's always a positive too when you open it and they're not like loose falling out. So see how difficult it is to pull each one out, because I'm curious of one thing, if they have numbers or if they're just named. Yeah, I know their names are on there, but I never ever check see these things are numbered. So I want to check that now. Someone asked me, I think last time I talked to something, I said, are they numbered? I was like, oh, I didn't check that at all. Sometimes these clear bases, the way they actually put them on there, it makes it very difficult to read the numbers, and I am sorry for the crinkling plastic on that one. Let's see. Oh, no, yep, they are numbered. 14 out of 15. I mean, the problem is they put it right in the base. 10 out of 15. 15 out of 15. And I wish I could read the owls and they'd stop putting the names and numbers underneath the actual flight base if they put them on there. I think we're in 13, 12, and I'm guessing what, 11? Yep. So I'm guessing this is probably number 10. Oh, maybe not. Maybe 9? Hold on. Yeah, so it's got to be number 9. So I'm guessing the owl is number 9. But we are going to start with the owl. So first up, we're going to number 9 out of 15, the owl. I believe this is supposed to be a Taito owl, or one of the lovely round-faced owls you could use as a barn owl or something like that. And it's actually a pretty big owl. It's a pretty big base, too. It's not like a small base, not a tiny base. So obviously, it's probably more for its actual balancing effect, so it actually can balance properly and stand up properly. But it's not a bad owl. As you can see, it's got some great detail going on there, and it's not bad. Now, this is really good for that person who really needs an owl familiar, or they like to wild shape into an owl specifically because, you know, the flying and it's very silent flight. It would have high stealth, you know, and this would be just a good creature. It has also night vision, so if you were a human or one of those species that doesn't have dark vision, this would be very helpful. Now, granted, I think owls are actually a pretty good choice. I like the choice of the owl because we don't have many owl miniatures out there, so it is something new, which is always good. And this is also a standard average creature you can find in a lot of environments. So very nice to have this for wildlife, not just for the fact of turning into one. So pretty cool. I do like it. Wizkids, you did very well. The sculpt is nice. Paint job is a little bit flat on the end feathers. You can see where there's just like a line. I wish more of like a brush down effect, so it has that little bit of a sort of dappering in between the two color transition. But hey, for a nice owl, I ain't gonna look the other way because I haven't seen an unpainted owl yet that I really want to go grab and paint myself. So this saves me a lot of trouble, just being honest there. Now let's go to the next mini, to the next number. And here we have number 10, the giant eagle. We're going down by number order, and as you can see, we're on another big bird. Now this one, like I said, was based on a bald eagle for its concept, but as you can see, they definitely decided to go giant eagle. I don't know if this was like maybe a just sudden idea epiphany where Wizards or Wizkids was like, man, this would be kind of cooler than a standard bald eagle, and I get that. I mean, most people probably would paint their giant eagles as bald eagles. I mean, I didn't when I got my giant eagle from the unpainted line from, I think, what is it, Wild Cuts, because it was like, you know, kind of that generic, it could go with any campaign or, you know, Pathfinder or D&D or whatever tabletop. but I do like it. And I love how yet they kept the flight bases. Both the owl and this mini are getting those nice swoop bases, which are way better than peg bases that you know you're going to break. And then you're going to have to make like an intricate base to make them into a flying base. And it's just too much effort. But this looks good. It looks natural. It looks nice. I actually like the pose of the eagle. He's doing that lovely soaring pose with the slight updraft pose, like he's riding the updraft up. He's got the tailends curled in nice. The feathering detail is really good on this one. They're a little bit... Now, the one great thing about the bigger minis, too, you can get a lot of great detail on the feathering because they're so large versus, like, the small owl, which has great detail, but this eagle is definitely showing it off with pride. I like it. That's a nice eagle. Now, let's compare this to my unpainted eagle just to see where we see a difference in sculpt and design versus, you know, waves and different ideal sets. Now, when we take a look at both of these eagles, we do notice one thing. The eagle from the unpainted set is way less hooked in the beak. It's not as curled as the normal eagle. And it was a giant eagle when I bought it. And I just gave it more of a red coloration. You can see it's got more of a dark brown feathers with red coloration. Because mine, actually, I literally saw a red-tailed hawk sitting on a wire outside my house. And I kind of looked at it for a while. I was like, I want mine to have a red tail. But then I kind of wanted that red to go into the flight feathers as well in the wings. And it just kind of took that approach. And I didn't look back. So I was like, I like where it went. Now you can see the flight bases are definitely bigger on the newer giant eagle versus the old one. They've also changed the sculpt completely. Mine happens to be more of like a straight up, slight angled upward flight pattern. This one is taking that lovely tilted upward flight pattern. So like he's doing a tilted, but he is going up in a slow, probably arc. Mine's doing more of that kind of angular, straight up flying, which either one works fine. They both do have the nice, lovely curled talons and the feet tucked up, but it's only a shame that mine, the head on mine is a little less eagle-y. It looks a little more like a hawk than it does an eagle. But you know what? Eagles do have different shapes and sizes. They're not all exactly the same, so it works enough. And it's nice to have a couple different giant eagles. On top of that, too, another cool thing that you can get with giant eagles, guys, is you can actually use them as immature rocks. Now, there are rock minis that are on huge bases. You have rock minis on gargantuan bases, which are their true giant size. But they never talk about youthful rocks. Like, what about juveniles? Like, before the rock, like a hatchling is probably a medium-sized creature. Then maybe at large size, they're in their young stage. Then they've reached young adult, like a sub-adult and huge. And then they've become full true adult at gargantuan. I would like to see more of those kind of things in D&D, because they did this before with baby griffins. They even did it with a cute kitten displacer beast. Like, oh, I mean, more animals like that with, like, species would be just awesome. Because it would help flesh out encounters way better. Because that's what the minis are for, is to help show what the encounter looks like. And that would just help. Especially if it's like, oh, this is just supposed to be a juvenile rock. It's like, most people are going to look at that mini on the board and say, no. But you could use a giant eagle here, and it would be a great representation. Because you probably could normally not tell the difference. Only maybe a ranger or someone who has any type of history with them, like a dragonoid, where it's like, oh, I've seen rock species. Nope. Don't want to deal with them. But really cool. I do like it, Wizkids. It came out great. You guys made it well. Wizards of the Coast, you were right to throw this one on the list, or whoever decides that stuff. But it turned out really good. Let's move on to the next number, though, shall we? So here we go with number 11, the brown bear. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm not the biggest fan of the brown bear mini. I really think I would have preferred a different animal than the brown bear. And that would, I mean, I said this before with another set when I went over, like, there was the tiger, and I liked the tiger. It was different. It was unique. But the brown bear is not like we don't have them. They're already out there. I mean, there's tons of bears you can get from Reaper Bones. You can get, like, tons of bears already. Like, there's the Waterdeep bear, which is right now superbly easy to get your hands on, because many people sell those in lots where they go, like, here's a lot of brown bears, because they just want to get rid of them because Waterdeep made them way too common. So hopefully we never have that mistake again. But I'm not a big fan of this sculptural, because it looks like the Waterdeep bear, but maybe a little bit bulkier. So maybe they took the Waterdeep bear, made the fur a little, like, more, like, kind of messed up. It isn't an action pose, but that face on him is way darker than the Waterdeep bear. Like, the Waterdeep bear has a lot more snout definition. This thing has a really cut in half mouth look, and I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, the pose is fine for a bear doing that, but I mean, grizzlies will stand up too. They should have gone with like a standing swipe, which would have been a little bit better, in my opinion. But I mean, hey, they probably made a decision. They were like, well, good enough. But let's do a comparison of this to some other of the brown bears, or bears in general, shall we? So here we have the Waterdeep bear I was specifically talking about, and the, brown bear from this set. Now, both are brown bears, and my only real concern is, as you can see, they look very similar. And the Waterdeep bears, like I said, are not hard to get your hands on. You can usually buy them on Miniature Market or on eBay for cheap price. Heck, you can buy them on Amazon. I've seen them on there before for like loan purchasing, and they're not expensive. Well, okay, maybe Amazon a little bit, but that's because you also got to do shipping and all that stuff too, and taxes sometimes. And it's just like, honestly, looking at this bear, I really wish we had gotten something different. I would have preferred even a black bear, because like we don't have many black bear minis. We only have the grizzly bears and the brown bears as cover, and we get polar bears on occasion now, but like, we need some more of the other stuff. Like even a sloth bear would have been pretty cool, like a sloth bear, or maybe like the celestial bear. A redo of the celestial bear would have been kind of cool. That standing bear with that weird chest marking and stuff, that would have been kind of neat to get a remake of that, considering that's only an old mini. But hey, in the end, I guess I have to take what I can get, and we'll have to kind of roll with the punches. So here we have the bigger model of the Reaper Bones bear. This is the cave bear, so it probably is not technically the same thing as a brown bear, but you can see it has that definite brown bear body. So it probably would have been nicer if they had more like, even a pose like this, than the actual brown bear they had. It's just that brown bear is just not my favorite right now, this set. He's just not the favorite. And it's just, I mean, I know, yes, a bear is going to be a classic creature that a druid's going to turn into for a wild shape, because they're big, strong animals that can deal some good damage if you use them right. And I mean, they can be a bit tanky, but at the same time, you are getting just bear stats. It's not like you're going to be the most amazing, hard to hit thing. A group of goblins might drop you down really fast. But let's move on to the next one in the number before we keep just talking smack about this poor guy. And now it's time to jump from one bear to the next. We go to number 12, the polar bear. Now this one I actually like. As you can see, we have a big, beefy polar bear. He is beefy, and he's almost on the cusp of what can be a large creature. I mean, as we know with polar bears, they stand huge. They are huge. They are one of the biggest land carnivores. Look at that monster. It's really cool. And I actually think we don't have enough polar bears out there to really say, oh, we don't need another polar bear, because in older days of D&D, there really weren't that many polar bear minis when you look them up and stuff. There's just the unpainted mini and then the one from Snowbound, which I have both of those, which we will do a comparison in a moment. But I do like it. It's simple, but they did it right. They made it simple in the right way, not the wrong way, where they make it too dirty or something like that, or like they accidentally accent the wrong spot. It does look like the polar bear itself. Big, brawny, aggressive with the growl, and ready to tear a player apart, or a seal if you happen to be watching it from stealth cover. Let's do a comparison, shall we? So here we have our big beefy bear here from the set compared to the Snowbound bear. Now, if you haven't seen my unboxing of the Snowbound booster set, or my booster brick, go check that out, guys. I did do a review of that as well. Now, I do like how the polar bear of the Snowbound was doing the standing polar bear stance thing, where he's looking down on his opponent, ready to swipe them or bite them. But you do notice a definitely big size difference. The polar bear we see here from the set is a beefy polar bear. The one from the actual Snowbound is pretty skinny. Now you can do this as two things. One, that maybe is a polar bear who's really hungry, or you could say that's female dimorphism, since female bears are smaller than male bears normally. And that would work pretty well for this. You get this big beefy male boar bear and his sow mate. Could be something unique to throw at the players. But now let's compare this bear to the, say, unpainted bear if I got done giving it a good paint job. So here we have the two bears, the one unpainted bear that I did there on the right, and then the actual bear. You can see even with that one for larger being than the Snowbound bear, it's still nothing compared to this wild-shaped bear. It is a big chungus of a male boar bear, which you once again could have this be another female and then a big male next to it. Or, maybe it's just a little younger bear standing next to its more larger, older bear just learning or something. I don't know, but this is just cool. I mean, I like how big they made this bear. It's just such a beef of a bear. Really nice. And it's welcomed to my miniature library to use in fleshing out the wildlife or a really nice encounter. Really cool. Next up, we had number 13, the dire wolf. Now, dire wolves are basically just large class wolves when you really think about it. They were bigger and stronger because in the Ice Age, they had to deal with larger predators to fight for their meals and then larger prey to therefore take down. So, I mean, like, this is not a bad mini. Now, one thing I do like that they did here that they don't do with a lot of other minis, they didn't add the spikes. I don't understand the spikes growing out of dire beasts. Like, dire bears have it, dire wolves of old have it. You know, dire animals get these spikes, like dire lions, dire tigers. They all get these big, giant, chunky spikes sticking out of them. I never 100% understood them. But you know what? I like we go to a nice classic dire wolf, which is a real creature, and it makes sense. It looks not too bad. Now, my only concern is the tail is a little bit less fluffy than I'd expect from a wolf. But, you know, with dire wolves, they probably didn't need as large a tail, maybe. I don't know, but I think a larger tail on this guy probably would have made him perfect. Because I do like the paint job with the style. It's a lot better than the Waterdeep's wolf, where they tried to do a similar style of aesthetic with the dark to light, and it just did not work out well. That wolf was very, not that great. But however, this one did work well, and it looks really nice to put on the board, leading a pack of wolves or having its own dire wolf pack. And you can do this, of course, by mixing it with like winter wolves and other dire wolves to make it unique. That way you have different sculpts working together. Let's do an actual comparison of it versus the, say, Waterdeep dire wolf and a winter wolf for just giggles. So here we have the wolf next to three others. We have the winter wolf, which could also be used as a dire wolf, just a white version of maybe like an Arctic wolf, like a dire Arctic wolf, or like, you know, you could just use it as a white wolf. And then we have the Waterdeep wolf. Now, it does suffer a little bit closer as a Waterdeep wolf's tail, but I really wish they had more of the winter wolf style fluffy tail on the back. I think it would have made this wolf 100% perfect. I don't think there would have been anything else I would have done to it different. I mean, the sculpt details are great. The fur detail is good. It's definitely a way bigger improvement than the Waterdeep's dire wolf. So really well done. Well done, Wizkids. You made it for the Waterdeep, but I just think I'll bush your tail on your dire wolves and make them look a little cooler and a little more accurate. Now, anyway, guys, we're going to move on to number 14. Now, for number 14, we go to the giant ape. That's right, the big brooding gorilla himself of the set. The only huge in the set, too, and something you definitely would use if you were trying to, say, recreate a Kong Skull Island type of campaign. I do like the giant ape. He's pretty nice. He has some nice detail going with the nice shading of the grays and the blacks and the, you know, to make this lovely tone. Now, really, he does remind me of Percy Jackson's Kong's, you know, Kong, because, you know, it's not like the standing gorilla. This is more like the on all fours running around gorilla, getting aggressive and roaring at, like, in this case, he's looking quite down, so he's probably ready to fight a party. He would stand up pretty good for that. This would be a really cool gorilla to get if you were trying to, say, make like an ape army or a primate army, where like you have giant monkeys, giant apes, gorillas, gorillans, those type of monsters, and like even winged gorillas and stuff under the service of, like, say, the ape lord that you can get from Pathfinder, and that'd be kind of cool. Have like your party deal with that. Like maybe that ape group is trying to invade a city and they're trying to fight back to keep them out, and then these kind of beasts are what they're dealing with that attack the city, because they would be they probably could be like a siege beast, big and strong enough to definitely do some damage to a building. Now let's compare this guy to the unpainted giant ape. Now here we have the two apes next to each other. This is my own of the unpainted dire ape. I painted mine with a more staying ape aesthetic from the Dragon Ball Z series. I decided just to make him that sort of brown with the light skin style color. And you can see these two apes look pretty good. Actually, they look very similar. I mean, the unpainted ape is a little bit chunkier in the fact he's a little bit bulkier. Like his arms are a little bit beefier. The body's a little thicker. You know, the legs kind of pretty similar. Don't see much difference there. And the hands proportion of the hands might be a little bit bigger on the unpainted ape. And the head might be a little bit thicker. But in the end, they would be easy to giant apes to use. Just in general, like if you want to get attacked by a pair of giant apes, this could be a great miniature for it to help give you that different aesthetic. And also the fact they're different is not a bad thing either, because it helps your players kind of choose which one they're trying to throw spells at, so your DM's not trying to think, oh man, does this one die or is this one still alive? You know, and they're not like, oh, are you sure you want that one? Like, you know, for reasons of all. Now, I do think it is a great sculpt, though. Great sculpt in general, and it's not just a repose either. Like, this actually is a little bit different, so it's not just a different pose giant ape. We actually do have a little bit of a difference in their style, so it is a good thing, too. Well done, Wizkids. Well done. Let's get to the overall, though, shall we? Sorry about that. I just realized we forgot number 15. My little spider there was actually hidden under the, was being blocked by my wolf and my bear, and I almost didn't notice that the giant eagle's wing blocking their spots. But we almost forgot the giant wolf spider, number 15 of 15. Now, this is a pretty cool spider. I gotta admit, I like the wolf spider. He's different. He's not the same as the other giant spiders of old. We actually have a bit of difference to this guy, but he actually looks, you know, correct atomically for what these creatures look like. And I do like the brown coloration versus a gray or a black. I mean, I like the brown because that is with wolf spiders. They're usually a brownish colored spider. Looks pretty cool. I do like it. Now, granted, he is on a peg base, but the peg is so short and thick that I think he's going to be very well supported. And I think in the end, this is going to be probably just a great spider for anyone to get their hands on. They need a giant spider to be something the Ettercaps ride around on, or they want to have an Ettercap campaign like side quest where like they have to destroy a nest of Ettercaps that are destroying the forest and slowly encroaching on a city type deal. This would be a great spider for it. Let's compare this spider to some other spiders though first before we give the final actual overall of the entire set. So here we have the three spiders themselves. We have the wolf spider from an older set, which I believe is Monster Menagerie. And then we also have the spider token from the MTG Wizkids made token series from there. And as you can see, he looks pretty good next to all three. The token spiders I definitely would have more of like as monster spiders or like mutated spiders. But the other two work great as maybe a giant wolf spider and its wolf spider offspring or something, you know. And with different spider minis out there are plenty. You're going to want some big spiders to be their bosses or to be ones who are just like the top apex of the spider food chain. So really cool. So overall, final thoughts on the set. I'm really going to say, I like him. I think this is a really good set. We got the really cool, lovely giant eagle, the giant ape, a good polar bear mini, an owl, a wolf spider, and even a good dire wolf that I think is going to make it really nice for a good kind of classical dire wolf to throw in there. Or you can use it as a giant wolf to be the leader of a wolf pack. But then that bear, no matter how much I want to say it, that bear is just... look, I like how he's dynamic versus the older bear. But man, they could have done a better job of sculpting him better and doing a little more work there. And maybe, or a better paint job. Something could have saved it. I mean, I might have to go in there and now repaint this thing a little bit to try and make it a little bit more pleasing to look at. Like that face and snout is just so dirty. Well, what can I say? They did what they did. They got it done. So, I mean, well done, Wizkids. It was a good set. Other than the bear, I would say they're all pretty much worth the price. Now, I bought these, I believe, on sale. They were, instead of 34, I think they were down to like 28. So I was like, why not? Definitely worth picking them up. I mean, get me some more monsters to flesh out my wildlife encounters, or to be some interesting background creatures that a boss summons to help fight you, or even an evil druid turns into a giant spider, or a group member wants to become a giant spider, or a giant eagle. Maybe he's ready to fly the group around and, you know, help them. Like, so there's a crevice, turns to a giant eagle, flies everyone across, maybe one or two at a time, and then boom, the party's moved, you know, makes it helpful. It's always good to have these things on the board of success. Like, you know, it's like, it makes it better when the players look and they go, oh, you're a giant ape. Yes, I put my giant ape on the board. It's like, I'm a giant ape right now. It's like, oh, crap. Like, okay, now I know this. I won't forget. Helps flesh out the encounter so players can always know what they're looking at. So, well done, Wizkids. Well done in general. If they ever do want to send more, if Wizkids or Wizards of the Coast want to send me some more products to review, I'm definitely willing. Just in case they're watching. But yeah, well done, guys. Well done. If you've gotten this far in the video, I thank you. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so, guys. Helps out and, you know, help support the channel. Hit that like button if you do enjoy and, you know, helps to get past that YouTube algorithm. And throw a comment down below to definitely help with the algorithm. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or ideas, or if you just want to throw a shout out. Now, anyway, guys, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.